So talk to me about your thoughts on society today.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, this is interesting topic actually of conversation, because actually my coach is involved with a lot of like men's health stuff, which I have recently been getting into a lot more lately, because there's an epidemic, man. It's bad.
Okay.
I would say that the epidemic is, well, specifically testosterone is an epidemic, and I think a lot of it is environmental. I think a lot of it is cultural, unfortunately. And I think that a lot of times now we have to kind of tiptoe around things, and it creates not only hostility, but it also creates like this imbalance, if you will. You know what I mean? Like, for example, I already know you're going to ask me questions, so we might as well address it.
You don't know all the questions.
Yeah. We'll talk about masculinity, because this is a conversation that I have quite frequently.
Is there a war on masculinity?
I think there is, unfortunately. And I don't want to like point fingers as to who started the war, right? But I think that, when you start talking about phrases like toxic and masculinity in the same sentence, I think that in itself is toxic.
Do you even think that's a real thing?
I think they're two separate things.
I agree.
I think that you have, in terms of men, I think you have masculine men, and I think you have toxic men, right? I think that there is no such thing as a toxic masculine man. All right.
Yeah. Mind if I give you my thoughts on that?
Yes.
We've never talked.
Yes. Yeah.
So my thing is this: you have men, right, who can be masculine.
That's right.
You are a masculine man.
Yeah.
Right. I also believe that like everybody has parts masculine and feminine energies in them.
Sure.
Right. And listen, there's more men who could be described as being more characteristically feminine than masculine.
Sure.
Totally fine. I think you should do whatever you want.
That's right.
My issue comes to the fact where you characterize maybe somebody like you,
yeah,
as toxic masculinity.
That's
right.
Work
out, you ride motorcycle,
yeah,
right? Listen, here's the thing. If you're considering toxic masculinity being somebody that insults people, that is, hurting women, that's hurting babies, that's hurting dogs, you're not masculine. You're an asshole.
That's right.
Right? That's not toxic masculinity.
That's right.
Masculinity to me, and this is how I see it, because I'm more of a traditional man. If I had to do it, like, I'm going to take care of the people I'm with, whether that's my woman, whether that's my parents, whether that's my pets, whether that's my patients, whether that's my clients. That's right. I'm taking care of you.
That's right.
That's how I perceive being masculine. Like, I'm here to help you.
Yes.
I'm not here to hurt you.
That's right.
Protect you. Right? We talked about this on a podcast. Like, if I'm on a first date, I have to literally die to protect that woman if something goes down.
That's right.
I might not even know your last name.
Yeah.
I literally have to stand up from the table and like fight this dude off while you run away.
That's right.
Because there's no way I could be like, okay, Susie, like you just get this. I'm gonna get the car.
Yes.
Right? When the guy has like a knife.
Right.
That's being masculine.
That's right.
Right? Like,
that's right.
So I just feel that like when you talk about toxic masculinity, it's just a catchphrase now.
Yeah.
But like that's not a masculine man.
That's right.
Right? What do you think?
I agree with you 1,000%. I think every guy has the potential to have anger and violence, right? Like that's just in our nature. That just goes on
testosterone.
Yeah, 1,000%, man. And that's like
evolutionary.
That's just what it is, right? But I think the definition between somebody who's a dick, right, and for somebody who's masculine, I think the masculine man is the person that can control that, right? Yeah. In whatever environment that they're in, right? The toxic guy or the douchebag is the guy that can't, right? And the guy that's violent, right? But that gets labeled as masculine. And I think that it gets mislabeled, I should say, as masculine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But here's the thing. If you're talking about relationships, a masculine man is not going to get mad at you because you reject him.
That's right.
The nice guy will.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Those are usually the guys that like blow up on you, show up at your house, keep calling you. Like the masculine guys just gonna be like, all right, no, I totally understand.
Yeah.
If things change, and I'm single, you let me down. Yeah. You see, I've done this before.
Yeah, there's insecurities. There's probably jealousy involved there, I'm sure. You know what I mean?
I was reading, because relationships is a huge thing now.
Yeah.
Right? So you see a lot of times where, women are becoming more masculine because men are becoming less masculine.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying the reasons for that. I'm just saying what I see and what I've seen online. And the big thing becomes that like, okay, so you see that women become more masculine and that men are becoming less masculine.
Right.
Okay. So now when it goes to dating, like I see this a lot, like, men in their 20s, they don't know how to date. Right.
Right.
Because like, I think we all agree that there should be equal rights no matter what gender
Sure.
you are. Even if you don't assign to a gender.
That's right.
Everybody should have equal rights.
That's right.
However, now, I'm going to say if you're a traditional woman, you like when the guy pays for you at dinner,
Yes.
right? That's part of the whole,
That's the deal.
the deal, right?
Yeah.
But now men in their 20s don't know. They think that like they should split it.
Yeah. It's like a Venmo split thing. So stupid.
But to the women that I know, paying for dinner is part of the whole deal.
That's right.
And if you don't do that, you're not man enough to be with them.
Yeah.
That's just my generation.
If you ask me, that's a red flag.
Yeah, I agree.
If you're a woman sitting at this side of the table and the guy says, hey, so do you want to like split this through Venmo? I'd be like, you're an idiot.
You know, the bigger red flag is if the woman's supporting the man.
Yeah.
Right. I'm talking about like, I mean, I know there's different
I
circumstances.
know what you mean. I know what you mean.
But like, you're the woman just giving the man money or paying for all the debts. If there's an extraneous circumstance and that you're already married, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking courting,
Yes.
like dating.
yes.
As a woman, you might want to be like, maybe this isn't the person I want to be with,
Right.
right?
Right.
And I know that gets into different things, but like that's just a traditional man.
I think the generations though I think the whole alpha is becoming a little bit more on the beta side, to be quite honest with you. Again, like if it works for your relationship, it works for your relationship. But
Which makes, like, just talking about alpha males, which
Yeah.
makes people like you stand out more,
of course,
which gives you a huge advantage.
Of course. And I've been told I'm an alpha male, and I'm fine with that. I don't take that personally. Like, I don't say, oh, well, that means that you're a dickhead. It's like, no, that does not mean I'm a dickhead. That just means I have.
When I walked in, you told me you were an alpha.
Yeah. You know what, though? Like, you look at monkeys and chimpanzees, there's an alpha in every tribe.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, like, it's just what it is,
And is
right?
the alpha to protect the tribe?
That's correct. But you know what? The alpha doesn't also have to say that they're the alpha. Because if you come in and you say, hey, I'm the alpha, you're not the alpha, bro. You're not.
I agree.
Do you know what I mean? So, like, I think that's where the disconnect becomes, you know? That almost becomes like you're on like this like level of douchebag that we were just talking about, where it's like you're not even masculine, you're just a dick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think there does need to be a little bit more awareness about this.
Well, you
Because
mentioned testosterone.
Yes.
And so from what I understand now, like men have the lowest levels of testosterone
1,000%.
than any generation before,
That's right.
right? And I agree. It's nutritionally, it's culturally, right? Listen, working out helps keep your testosterone up,
1,000%.
right? If that's not part
Yeah.
of your routine.
They're even saying now, like what the mother is, you know, what environment they're exposed to, what they're eating while their, you know, child is in utero is affecting their testosterone, not only at that time, but throughout their lifespan, right? That's why it's becoming less and less and less. And that's why a lot of these quote unquote masculine traits are becoming more feminine, right? Like these guys are becoming more feminine over the years. You can see it. It's evident, very evident. And you're right. The testosterone levels are not the same as our fathers and their fathers and their fathers. It's just not.
And the reason why we're talking about this, because there is a men's health crisis, right?
That's right. There is.
Which people don't talk about.
That's right.
Right? I could be wrong, but more men are killing themselves now,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Than I think ever before.
Yeah.
And I think it's more men like in their 20s or 30s are having less sex than ever before.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, I've seen some dating podcasts and it's like 80% of men are just invisible to women. It's like
crazy.
if there's a guy working at the local supermarket checking, you know, the bags, like no woman's looking at that guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're looking at guys like you who have their own business.
That's
who
right.
are-
That's right.
Who are muscular, who, you know,
That's
are
right.
tall. And so like, it's like, how do you help that guy who's bagging become the man he wants to be?
Right.
Right. If that's what he wants to do. And I
Right.
think that's what needs to, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think so. But I do believe that, you know, over time, like I think there is, like you said, I think there's a men's health crisis. And I think a lot of it is environmental, but I think a lot of it is, like, for example, we'll talk about labs because I know we talked about that earlier. The labs are conforming to society. So the lab values, if you will, right? So they're changing them. And they change them to conform with how the average person is presenting, right? So like
average, not optimal.
Correct. So average is you take everybody in this vicinity and you just take the average of that number.
Well, there'd be a lot of testosterone.
Yeah. Well, maybe not in this vicinity. let's just say the country, right?
I got you.
The country is obese overall, right? Like
And children.
and children as well. And that's another topic of conversation, of course. Like, I mean, I actually did a podcast on that too, not too long ago. But anyways, it's sad to see that as the testosterone levels decrease on the average, what the lab companies are doing is they're shifting the scale. So like, for example, and it all depends on what lab company you go to, right? So like, for example, like LabCorp is a reasonable one. That's the one I use all the time. So like their scale will be like 284, it's like nanograms per deciliter, to like 900, right? Talk about that scale. That's a ridiculously big gap, right? But then you have like Quest that's like 250. But then you have like other people that are like, anything under 300 is low, right? So it's like, where is this gap? Like so what we're doing is we're just shifting the scale back, because as the numbers become less and less and less, so don't the values. And some of that is insurance driven, of course, but like some of that is also just saying, hey, listen, we want everybody to be quote unquote normal.
Yeah. Which is absurd, because if you do that with like, what's a healthy weight?
That's right.
You could be like 5'3", but yeah, 205 is average.
I was actually just talking to my, on a podcast that we just did recently, we were talking about how they were shifting the BMI.
If you plug your podcast one more time, they're going to have to pay me.